So really encourage you to plan ahead, budget. It's just always good to start thinking about that. Put in those requests for 2017 budget. Google Fiber is going to potentially be here for some people this year. If it's you, awesome. But it's probably not. But 2017, it's probably going to be half or more of this room would probably have access to it. So again, I'm speculating. I don't have any insider knowledge on that, but that's something that could be happening. And if that is, great. You've got it in your budget, and you're going to get the equipment in there. And this stuff can go out of sequence. You can have Google Fiber coming in, and then 3 months later, upgrade your firewall, or upgrade your switch, and then upgrade your firewall towards the end of the year. However you do it, as long as you're just incrementally moving forward, progress of any kind is good. And then just try to think about cloud services. I think, in general, I don't have any cloud services to sell you or anything like that. But when everything's gigabit up and down, the physical locality of your software, your line of business applications, your critical stuff, it just does not need to be in-house anymore. Your database does not need to be in-house anymore. You are already the fastest you could communicate with a lot of your databases that weren't physically housed on your machine was probably 10/100 if you were lucky enough to have gigabit speeds going right to your desk. Kudos, but many weren't. Yeah.
I'm not as technical, but would that be a selling point? Like if I'm a disaster recovery or like hosted solutions company, that I do have the capacity to offer higher speeds, but my business isn't, would that be something that I would be able to utilize versus having it in-house at a slower speed?
Absolutely. And honestly, the onus is going to be on the folks offering disaster recovery services to be able to handle lots and lots of gigabit customers. Gigabit's not going to be good enough for them anymore. Yes, sir.
Kind of related to this, my organization has a preference to paying the cost of this thing one time, which means keeping it local. They're not wedded technically, but it's got to be local. It just financially is a better comfort zone for paying for the software once or the equipment once or the storage once, rather than moving it out there where you got to move out money every month or whatever. Is you got any words of wisdom on that?
Yeah. The words of wisdom are, there's not a right or wrong, and every business is going to make a decision based on immediate monetary concerns and all the way to the spectrum of gut feel and comfort. I mean, why would you move into the cloud if you're worrying about it all day long and it's a distraction? You shouldn't go to the cloud if it's going to bother you. But I think that as more and more people have the freedom to move in the cloud because they're not bandwidth bound, I think it's going to change the types of offerings. It's going to change the general mood and climate. So I can't speak to your specific situation or give you an amorphous sales pitch that you can take home with you. But
put another way, is it more maybe of a social pressure that sooner or later it's going to be unfashionable to have all this stuff sitting in your office?
I don't know. I think it depends. I'd say that having an off-site backup may be one of those things where it's just inexcusable not to have that. Okay. That would be an example of something where you're too old school and you haven't adopted what's
I've got all my important papers here rather than in a safety deposit box somewhere.
Right, and and so there's thefts, there's fires, there's water, there's pipes burst, there's accidents, and so you could be in an inexcusable and indefensible position to not have utilized an off-site backup, for example.
Some equipment savings, right? Because you're not having to maintain that server or that box or anything within your own four walls. That's all their expense.
It's an equipment savings. It's a personnel savings. A lot of times you're offloading some of the the technology folks who are supporting it.
That's how Microsoft did with Office 365. I remember people were getting rid of their Exchange servers like crazy and just going to Office 365 and let Microsoft dealing with it.
Yep. I mean, we made tons of money supporting a lot of Exchange servers, small business servers that had Exchange bundled into it. We're helping a lot of people go into Office 365 because it works for them, it's the right fit. But yeah, Exchange was a very profitable product for IT service providers. It required a lot of maintenance. And when it broke, it was really a big deal.
Yeah.
People noticed. Any other questions? These are great.
Another comment about the outsourcing or not necessarily outsourcing, but using cloud-based capabilities. I was part of a state network in Kentucky with and part of the state CIOs with state universities and all. And one of the comments from the guy that was running the technical college system was they can't support the server farm like the Rackspace or whoever. I mean, their Rackspace is staying on top of all of those servers inside that gigantic facility far better than they can with their staff.
Yeah, and compliance, regulatory things. I mean I mean Sarbanes-Oxley, for instance. There's not too many Sarbanes-Oxley's experts because very few people took that on, and they just they outsourced that to hosting providers that would say, look, we're not scared of this. We see a business opportunity, and we'll cover all your bases and send the regulators our way if there's ever any questions. So there's every situation requires its own assessment, and it should be reassessed on an annual basis based on the mood of the stakeholders and decision makers, the budget, the current offerings. It's such a dynamic space. It's worth reassessing on a regular basis. The answer may be no over and over and over again, and that no meaning we're not going to move anything into the cloud, and that may be the right answer for a lot of different reasons. But I do think that this is going to take one of the reasons off the table. Well, it's going to slow things down. I think we can make it faster if it's in-house. That rationale is going to melt away, and it's not going to be a key factor. All right. I'm actually not sure how many more slides I've got. I don't have any more. So that's our company. We're in downtown Durham. That's one of the alleys in downtown Durham. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and you can hit me up with more questions. Also want everyone to know that I have a sheet I can pass around, and I can send this out to the Google Fiber guys. I will just be sending your street address, suite number, city, and zip code to them. They don't want to know any names or anything, but I'll need to know your names to contact you to help you with any other support. So if you don't want me to have that information, no big deal. But if you do want to be on the Google Fiber kind of priority list that I can put you on, then by all means fill that out. Business card's here too. If you don't want to fill that out, you just want to email me separately. You can take my card, give me a call, shoot me an email. Happy to help in any way.
Thanks.
So, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Where does the residential piece stand on this?
It's a great question. I won't know it any faster than anyone else because I'm as a tech partner, I'm going to be business oriented. They don't have tech partners for residential that I'm aware of. But good question. I want it too. I want it really, really bad. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, John.